Hello, and welcome to another episode of Shaping the Future. I'm Dr. Jeff Gold, and I have the honor, of course, of serving as the president of the University of Nebraska system. This series that we call Shaping the Future spotlights the remarkable people who are helping move our state forward. People whose world is shaping Nebraska's future in meaningful ways. And today, I'm particularly honored to be joined by my colleague and friend, Kathy Ankerson. And Kathy serves as the Interim Chancellor of the University of Nebraska Lincoln campus. Interim Chancellor Ankerson began her tenure leading our flagship university in January, a critical role for both our university and for the state. But Kathy is a familiar face on our campus, having served as UNL's Executive Vice Chancellor from 2022 until her retirement in 2024. Some people fail retirement, others succeed. I was able to talk her into coming back, and I'm so glad that we did. She is a true servant leader. Kathy has been known to lead with purpose and care, guided by her belief that every person and every interaction matters. Kathy, welcome to Shaping the Future. It's great to be with you here. And, before we get into some of the things that are going on at UNL, and particularly I want to talk about strategic planning and other areas, our audience is always interested in a little bit about your background.
Sure.
I mean, most people don't wake up in the morning, certainly I didn't when I was a kid, saying, I plan to be the president of a great land-grant university system in Nebraska. But what was your journey like? Because you did a lot of very interesting things before coming to this point.
Well, thank you for having me. And I have had a very rich and fulfilling professional life and personal life. And I'd love to share a bit about that. So I grew up in a family, as I was the first in our entire family to go to college, to even consider it. I had 5 brothers. And when I graduated high school, I wanted to be either a math teacher or an architect. And so when I
Rather different.
Well, sort of, yes.
Although maybe not so different, right?
And when I took the first architecture class, it just cemented my my path, and I was so excited about that. And interestingly, that journey in architecture and my journey in leadership actually make use of my 5 top strengths: learner, belief, achiever, futuristic, and strategic. Meaning I learned all along my career to listen well, to keep that vision in mind, to work hard, to envision what could be, and to see multiple paths of how that could happen. And so I went into practice. Education was not on my radar. I moved to Houston, practiced for a while, moved back to the Northwest. I grew up in Pullman, Washington. And opened as practice and had up to 8 people working for me.
And by the way, as I recall, when we talked about it, doing quite well.
It was good. It was a multidisciplinary firm and a lot of work. And then I was asked to teach a class, and that really ignited another passion in me, and that was of mentoring and teaching. And so eventually I closed the office, worked on a graduate degree, and ended up in Virginia teaching on a tenure track position for 2 years before I came to Nebraska in 1996. And so all along the path, as a faculty member, as an associate dean, as a department head at another institution, coming back to be dean, and an executive vice chancellor, I've found that those strengths really have played a large role. And so it's been a wonderful career and wonderful personal life. Lots of adventures along the way. Moving a huge 100-year-old house, never living a place that we didn't remodel.
And so devoted to your family. I know we've talked about that a lot, and that's why it really was very generous of you, almost heroic, to be willing to come back into this role. And I'm just so glad that you did. So let's talk about strategic planning. You already touched on it, but I know that you and the campus are actively involved in marrying the campus's strategic initiatives and operations up to what we, of course, call the Odyssey to the Extraordinary.
That's right.
And where are you in that process?
I'm happy to talk about that. We actually celebrated Charter Day on February 13th. Our charter day is
Yes.
the 15th, and introduced our Bold Path Forward at that time. And just a bit of process between March and May, we actually held 85 listening sessions
Wow.
across the state where altogether we had over 6,800 people or online feedback inputs that came to us that formed the initial part of the plan. And even during the process, periodically we would post on our website this is what we've heard, so that people could see, is this what we said? So it was a reality check and a sense of transparency. We had a leadership retreat in June where leaders from all over campus were able to have additional input and hear that feedback that came forward. And so now we're finalizing that plan. We'll roll it out to leaders next Monday so that they can use it in their college retreats. And then we'll release it to the rest of campus on the 17th or the 24th.
Well, I certainly look forward to learning more about it as it comes out. But let me ask you this, as you've traveled across the state and talked to so many Nebraskans about what their university means to them at home in their daily life, could you just share a couple of the things that you may have learned
Sure.
that might be of interest to our audience?
Sure. I think the most impactful is hearing the stories of how the university has affected people's livelihoods or their lives or their communities or the economic well-being of their communities, making a difference. Those are the things that I've known about throughout my life at UNL, but they're also the things that are recurring. They're enduring qualities of what it means to be a land-grant, Research One institution, and how we partner with our stakeholders, with communities, and those are the areas that people value so highly, whether that's the law clinics that we run or working with communities to envision what affordable housing looks like.
Extension would be another really good
Extension
example.
is a huge part of connecting our university to the entire state, all of the counties. And Extension serves as a nexus for our engagement. Our Extension educators are really community members, and they have the pulse of what's happening and really connect us. And so, time and again, I hear what a difference research makes, what a difference the education students have received makes, and the value of the partnership. So this isn't a one-way, we've learned this and we're giving it to you. No, this is a collaboration. It's truly a partnership to elevate. So students are experiencing, our faculty are experiencing, our stakeholders and community members are, relaying, we're working back and forth. And that's the beauty, really, of the land-grant institution. Discovery, research, working together, pouring it with students, working together with our constituents, and then the outcome is just so much more robust. So that really forms the basis of our strategic plan.
Well, we look forward to seeing the results of that. As I like to say, we are of, by, and for, and most importantly with the people of Nebraska. And just I'm sure you know this, but as I've crisscrossed the state over my nearly 13 years here, there's no corner of the state that I've ever been in that people don't express incredible gratitude for how this university system, whether it was any one of our campuses or a certain faculty member or an experience they had in the healthcare system or extension or whatever, changed their life, literally changed their life. And they are so proud to tell that story. And they're so grateful for the things that we do. It's really remarkable. So after it's rolled out, what happens then?
Well, after we roll it out, we will be engaging with the community once again, with our university community.
For feedback?
For defining how do we keep ourselves accountable? What is it that we'll do in year 1, year 2, year 3 to achieve our
metrics.
Goals? Yes, metrics or accountability measures, progress indicators.
Yeah, as we like to call them, progress indicators.
We do. And that will map then to the Odyssey to the Extraordinary. But each unit will contribute in different ways according to what their mission is or what their actual strengths are. And so that's what we'll see. That's the next step. And then that will lead us to invest resources strategically so that we can actually accomplish what it is that we want to accomplish, right? Like what our goals are and what we know is important to the state. And ultimately, that is helping prepare students who are bold and courageous leaders who make generational change in their families and in their communities.
Of course, that is the gift of higher education.
It is.
It's not just the ability to, get a good job and earn a good living, which of course higher education does do.
Yes.
But it's about bringing the best out of people and providing what I would call a fulfilled and fulfilling life for them, which is so important.
Couldn't agree more. And throughout their life, we want to be there for people when they're children through past retirement, right?
Well, and I think that's a really good point, is that over time, higher education, including certainly in our state, is shifting from your traditional direct from high school student who's got a very focused career goal, I want to be fill in the blank, to people who are reskilling, upskilling themselves, particularly now in this era of augmented or artificial intelligence, where these are tools that are going to be here for a really long time, and we want to make sure that Nebraskans, no matter what they do, know how to use them effectively and safely. Well,
And I think that, as we prepare students with the processes, with literacies, with proficiencies that they can take to the future, it prepares them to be agile and resilient, because we don't know what those jobs of the future will actually be. But we do know that if you can rely on what you learned in terms of how to approach a particular problem or how to interpret something, then you're preparing people for life, no matter what it is.
How to think critically.
That's right.
We all do problem solving, whether it's what to have for dinner or world peace.
That's
and
right.
Everything in between.
That's right.
Problem solving is there. Well, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for all that you continue to do, for your friendship, for saying yes that night over dinner. And I know this was a big sacrifice for you and for your family, but I can't think of anybody better suited to take us on this journey. And I look forward to seeing the Bold Path Forward when it comes out, and to celebrating it with you and learning about next steps. Thanks for being with us today.
Well, thank you, Dr. Cole.
And to our audience, I want to extend you my most profound thanks as well for joining us today on this conversation with Kathy, and very much look forward to being with you next time on Shaping the Future.